So good to see everybody. Like I said, I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Just a reminder, please feel free to chat in questions, observations, comments along the way. It's really great for everyone to get the benefit of the wisdom that we all have. So today is going to be part 2, dealing with roadblocks along the way of building your capacity. So this is a series about building capacity in turbulent times. And one of the things that we experience along the way in any journey, especially one of self-development, are roadblocks, and how do we deal with them? And so what I want to do to start off with is just do a little bit of recap of last week. And so we talked about capacity as the process of being able to receive and contain information, right? This is how we process and how we raise our ability to be able to deal with things. And as we raise our ability and we increase our capacity, we become more capable. And about capability is our ability to be more competent and have a greater ability to deal with whatever is in front of us, life's challenges, or projects at work, or dealing with family members, all those types of things, right? So this is about how we build our capacity so that we become more capable. This is from my book, and I've came up with this really just from my own life experiences, right? Is that regardless of the outcome, once we try something new, we're 100% more experienced in that area than before we started. So it really doesn't matter what it is, and it really doesn't matter about the outcome. I think, we've been socialized to be very outcome focused. And I'm not saying at some level that's not appropriate, because it is, and not accurate, because we should be at some level concerned about our outcome of things, how well we do things. The problem with is that a lot of times it stops us, our concern about the outcome stops us from starting, because we're in this very binary culture of right or wrong, success or failure, black, white, all those types of things. And so anytime that we do something, regardless of its outcome, it builds our capacity, and that's what we want to do. We want to think about our individual capacity as like a thermometer, and we're constantly want that to edge up. We constantly want to be able to build our capacity to be able to work through issues and experiences, and we don't get that unless we start a process, and that's how we create the building blocks for increasing our capacity. And then the other thing we talked about is the 4 levels of competency. And I use this almost daily for myself, okay? And again, this isn't anything that I developed. It's been around for a long time. There's kind of more definition that goes to each one of these that you could look up if you want, although I think they're somewhat self-explanatory. But when you are in any situation that's new, or even an older situation that you find somewhat challenging, okay, you can apply this and have it help you understand where you are in the process. I played, football for a lot of my youth, right? So I always look at everything as, well, where am I on the football field? Am I on the 20-yard line, the 50-yard line, or am I at the other 20-yard line going in for a touchdown, right? But that's how you want to look at things. And this gives you a really good measure about where you are in really any process. So you have unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, conscious competence, and then unconscious competence. And so as you go through these, the unconscious incompetent means I've just started something and I don't know what I don't know. And then when I go to conscious incompetence, that stage where you are with that is, hey, wait a minute, I know I don't know things, so I better be paying attention. Then when you go into conscious competence, I'm starting to get some muscle memory, but I know I got to be paying attention, and I got to still keep walking myself through the steps. And then you get into unconscious incompetence, and it's just pure muscle memory. right? My synapse have connected. Cells that fire together, wire together. So I've got a bond, and the more at a cellular level, at a neural net level, and the more I do this, the better I get at it, and I can do it. I can do it, basically unconsciously. Really, a lot kind of like how we drive, or maybe we use our computers, or things like that, right? It's just total muscle memory. So I would encourage you to use this a lot because it's simple. You only have to remember 4 things, and the more you use this, the more adept you'll be at identifying where you are along the way with areas that you want to work on. And you can apply it to anything. You can apply it to work, personal situations, interpersonal relationships, health. You can really apply it to anything you want. Okay, so that's our kind of review from where we were. And I wanted to spend a little more time on that this morning, just because I think it's so foundational to how we move forward. So roadblocks. Why do we have roadblocks along the way? Now, there are a lot of euphemisms, challenges and things like that. But we have roadblocks along the way because they're there to raise our awareness, and they're there to help raise our skill level. So whatever is raising our awareness is helping us to raise our capacity. So if we're just kind of going along whatever the journey is, and without a roadblock to maneuver or navigate around, how much really are we learning, and how much are we really building our capacity? So if it's too easy, are we really gaining our capacity? And this is about resistance. So when we have roadblocks, it's really about resistance along the way that gives us the opportunity to pause and be more thoughtful, kind of understand where we are. Again, you go back to using those 4 levels of competency, and understand that I've been given this challenge for a reason, and you kind of sort that out. And it's about building muscle memory. This is kind of really I was searching for a graphic. I'm not sure exactly what to think of this graphic, but that's what I got. But you're building your muscle memory around building your capacity. So when we have challenges, it basically strengthens our ability to deal with things and to navigate not only the situation that we're in, but also navigate other situations that we've yet to experience, because we're building our capacity to be able to maneuver and evaluate and feel our way through things. And so that's really what when we have challenges and roadblocks, that's really what they're there for. We're going to talk in just a minute about really how challenges can be a mentor. So where will roadblocks come from? And I've found this quote, which I've never seen before, but I really like it. If people are doubting how far you can go, go so far that you can't hear them anymore. And that was just really perfect for what we're doing this morning. So where will roadblocks come from? I think this is important to be aware of it. So you want to kind of turn on your radar, your situational radar, and even if you're not in a space where you're building capacity, you can be aware of where these challenges come from. You can kind of catalog them a little bit. So generally, roadblocks or challenges to building your capacity will come from these places. So peer groups. So whatever peer group that you belong to is a peer group that would like to keep you in it. And most of the time, by keeping you in the peer group will require you not to necessarily grow. So when you're in a peer group, they would like to keep you there. And because your desire to do something different outside of your peer group will create a reflection onto the peer group itself and to the members of the peer group. Well, maybe, geez, if Allie's out doing this, I don't know if I can do this. And my fears about my ability to do this really aren't making me feel very good. They're making me feel kind of insecure. I think I kind of like to bring Allie back into the group because it's about how it's making me feel. So when you get peer group resistance, it's really not about what you're doing. It's really about how the peer group, almost like how they self-identify and how they're, kind of almost really, they don't do it on purpose, but they're kind of unconsciously insecure. Next is social norms. We kind of all know what that is. And social norms can be large, they can be at a societal level, they could be at a local community level, it could be at an industry level. If you take a look at the people who have accomplished anything, inventors or entrepreneurs, is that they typically don't pay a whole lot of attention to the social norms of maybe even of society, but certainly of their peer groups. Take Elon Musk, for example. He's a controversial figure, kind of a lightning rod, but he's just said, well, I understand that that's conventional physics, or that's the conventional thinking. I'm not doing it that way. Okay. Next, your past experiences. Your past experiences will provide roadblocks, and they're good ones, and they're tough. Because what will happen is that you'll go back and you'll say, well, wait a minute, last time I did this, I had this outcome and I really don't like that outcome. So why would I want to go do that again? So that's one thing you have to be aware of. Be aware of your past experiences. The other thing is, next is how we were brought up. Were we brought up in a household where, for instance, I'll just use a simple one, money was scarce, or the belief around money or scarcity was very strong, right? Money doesn't grow on trees, or the only way you're ever going to get ahead is you got to work harder than somebody else and sacrifice maybe family or health or something like that. So it's about socialization, right? And how you were brought up. That's a pretty significant roadblock. That past experiences, those tend to be our individual past experiences that we've had. Socialization is about how we were brought up. And from a very young age, we're very impressionable from the time we're born until the time we're about 7. And that's where, believe it or not, where a lot of our socialization and conceptions of things are formed. So, and then those then they wire our subconscious, basically. And a lot of our subconscious is formed from birth to 7-ish. And so we have to be kind of aware of how we were brought up. Were there self-limiting beliefs? Our parents are just parents, they're just people. So, and they're an imprint of how they were brought up. And your grandparents are an imprint about how they're brought up. So things can get passed from generation to generation completely innocently. And I think being aware of that is helpful. Okay, it's not a criticism, it's not a knock on anybody. We're not judging anybody, but be aware of it, because a lot of what will hinder our ability to navigate roadblocks will be based on our upbringing. There are systems limitations. Next is systems limitations. And a systems limitation, could be an industry, at an industry level. It could be, rules, laws, regulations. And I'm not saying that you skirt them necessarily, but you figure out how to work around them. I used to do a lot of developmental work earlier in my career, and the condo laws back then were, and the zoning laws. It was always this maze to get through. So you'd have to go through zoning and planning, and then you'd have to go through approval process, and then you'd have to go through condominium approval process. And then if you worked in Vermont, we did a lot of work in Vermont, you have to go through the Act 250 process. And what I always found was kind of fascinating is that every step, and I mean every single step of the way, there was a roadblock that you had to figure out how to legitimately navigate. Okay. And I think I want to be clear about that. This is about legitimately navigating, okay, the roadblocks. Fear of the unknown. That'll be another roadblock that you're going to have to get through. And I heard this great quote this weekend, and it goes like this: that life is about achieving a destiny as opposed to meeting a fate. Choosing a destiny versus meeting a fate. And so if we give into our fears, we're just meeting a fate. Okay. If we want to be in charge of our destiny, then we have to get beyond our fears and move forward. And you see that, as parents, right? We're kind of fearless as parents. We all come, there's no book, right, that comes with our kids where, do this, do that. but we're kind of fearless about it. Like we don't know, but we know we got to get it done. And so we're just going to go do it. Okay. So it's that fear of the unknown that you have to dissipate, and you have to put it in a lifeboat, right? And set it adrift. Just go away. All right. That cannot be a roadblock to me building my capacity. Fear of failure, fear of the unknown, all those types of things. And then last, which I think is kind of connected to fear, is self-limiting beliefs. And that all goes back to, being aware of how we're socialized, what ingrained self-limiting beliefs do we have? And we hear them all the time from people, okay? Oh, well, that'll never happen. Or why does this happen to me? All those types of things. We've all said them at times, right? Self-limiting beliefs, though, are part of programming. And again, this is all about being aware. What's really critical is about being aware and non-judgmental, okay? You can have a self-limiting belief, and that's okay, as long as you know that it's a self-limiting belief and you don't judge yourself for it. Don't judge yourself for a self-limiting belief. Somehow or another, you got that in your programming, okay? And you can unspool it, and you can change the programming as long as you're aware of it and you don't self-identify with it. And so these items are kind of like the basics of what will get in the way of us building our capacity, okay? And they'll range from material systems limitations to how we were brought up. And it's important that we're really introspective about that and non-judgmental, okay? Really rarely are people doing like mean things to us, okay? So this is really about being independent in our observation and non-judgmental, so that we can take blocks that get in the way, these roadblocks, we can move them out of the way one at a time. And it's the process. And that's how we build our capacity. That's how we become more capable. And there's a great book and a great author, actually, and I probably mentioned him before. He's one of my favorites, Joe Dispenza. He's a chiropractor, kind of turned neuroscientist, has a great story. I don't want to get into it here, but all of his works are good. But one of the ones I think is appropriate for this today, what we're talking about, is breaking the habit of being yourself. And it's been around a while. I'm going to say 10-ish or so years, and very good though. And it's, if you want to spend some time to understand how your wiring came to be, and then how you can change your wiring, this is a great place to start. So I would encourage you to listen to his audiobooks. You can find them on YouTube, and then of course, you can buy the hard copy book. Very helpful. Okay, so how to maneuver with roadblocks. So the first step, once we kind of identify where they can come from, see, it's important to, right? What throws us off is when we get surprised. We're us to slow down or let's get out of that. So when things are coming at us and we're surprised, it takes us kind of a while to adjust. Like, I didn't see this thing coming at me. So kind of being aware of where challenges, right, where these roadblocks will come from, is kind of just plan on it. Plan on it somewhere along the way that there will be a roadblock.
Hey, Chris, you keep freezing up. I don't know if you can hear me.
Am I back now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, where did I lose everybody?
It happened a little bit here and there, and then you just lost us for like the last probably 30 seconds or so.
Okay, so let's go back to, let's see, let's go back to, we'll go back to how, starting with how to maneuver with roadblocks. So the fact that we're going to have uh, things that are going to disrupt us are just inevitable. And so it's important to understand where they're coming from. So that whole understanding about where roadblocks will come from, it's about having the self-awareness, okay, to know that things will come and there will be challenges that will present themselves and that we're not surprised by them. Because when we're taken off guard, it takes us a little bit of time to recover. And so knowing that we're going to have challenges and knowing where they're going to come from, it's a little bit like in sports where they say the best defense is a good offense. So if I know I'm going to get some challenges, I gave you 7 possible areas where challenges can come from. You kind of know, well, from one of these places, as I'm building my capacity, as I'm becoming stronger, okay, that I might get challenged from any one of these places. So knowing that, okay, will put you in a better position to be able to work through situations. So then how do we maneuver with the roadblocks? Okay, now that we can identify what they are, okay, or where they might be coming from, how do I maneuver with them? So the first is acknowledge that we're going to have them. It's inevitable. When they appear, clearly identify them. Don't let them be mercurial. Don't let them kind of exist in kind of the vapor of change. Understand what they are. Okay, well, this roadblock is this one thing or these 2 things, and that's important because that once you identify it, then you can work with it. Then link them to your end goal of being stronger through more capacity. So if I have this challenge, I have this roadblock, and how do I work with that? And when I'm through this, this challenge, okay, I'm going to be stronger. How? In relationship to building my capacity in a certain area or certain areas. Now, I probably should have put this 4th one as the first, because I think it's really the most important. Embrace the roadblock as a mentor. All challenges, problems, roadblocks, however you want to define them, they're basically mentors. And the way the universe is designed and engineered is brilliant, because it will keep giving you situations and scenarios for you to work over and over and over again until you become a master of it. Okay, so these roadblocks, you could look at them and say, well, you know, this is a real pain for me to deal with. You know, that partly could be true, but it's really a mentor. It's there to give you the experience. Move through the roadblock in short, adjustable steps, and allowing yourself the freedom of action. It's kind of actually why I use this obstacle course picture. When there's an obstacle or a roadblock, I think our first thought is to like run through it, and maybe that works, or run it over. Maybe that works sometimes. Generally, though, you want to keep working through it in short steps, so that you can build your memory and your muscle memory around the journey, and that so that you're not overcommitted in one way or another. Okay, so it doesn't mean that you have to take 20 short steps. It might just be 3 short steps, whatever it is. But I think that when we race off in one direction, try to run something over, we kind of lose the benefit of the experience along the way. The other part, I'm third from the bottom now, is really mentally cataloging the experience, so that all right, the next time I see this, oh, right, this looks like that. And how I handled it was I did it this way. So I can apply that to this new scenario. That's capacity. Now I'm building capacity. All right. Now I've got the ability to be able to discern and apply past experiences to my new experience. The next one is don't quit. And there's all sorts of expressions. We've talked about it a little bit, in our sessions together. It's always darkest before dawn and all that stuff. But this kind of the simple reality of it is, and if you think about how true this is, I can think of any number of circumstances that I've experienced that it always gets a little harder towards the end. And that's kind of how you're getting closer to the end, is that it gets just a little bit harder. And that's when when you're the closest. But that's also the time where a lot of us might be more inclined to say, hey, wait a minute, this is too much. And so the whole don't quit thing, it's not about muscling our way through things or anything like that, but it's almost a nuance, really, and it's a finesse. Now, you might say that don't quit, and muscling your way through it. There's not a lot of finesse in muscling your way through things. So it's not really about that, but it's about being aware. If you knew that whatever experience you were having was just about towards the end, even though it was kind of getting harder, you'd stick it out, because everything is just a moment in time. So even though something might be hard right now as we're kind of building our capacity, it's just a moment in time. It's going to expire. Right? It's going to give way. And then lastly, this is not very sage advice, but wash, rinse, repeat. The whole thing starts all over again. And you can have multiple scenarios like this going on. As a matter of fact, right now, I would say for a lot of us, it's probably true, right? Where we're going through, we've got this pandemic, we've got this different work environment, it's impacted family, right? So we have all these new experiences that we're building capacity for, and we can have 3 or 4 of them going on at any given time and cycling through them. But how we deal with them is all the same. And so I think that, being able to build that capacity and being able to use kind of your muscle memory, it gets down to the wash, rinse, repeat. It's like once you become good at it, it's like our pyramid of competency, right? Once we're good at it, then we can just replicate it and we can do it over and over again. Science is really about how do you replicate things, right? You do something once, that's a one-off. But if you can repeat it over and over again, okay, then it becomes a scientific fact, right? In our bodies and our minds, the way we're wired, right? We're really wired with probably the most sophisticated technology certainly on the planet, maybe even the universe. So how do we use that wiring? And we use it by being experts at repeating things over and over again and getting better every time we repeat it. That's how we build our capacity. So let's see what we got for chats here. Sorry about losing you guys there. I don't know what happened with the internet. Yeah, so Allie, really, that's a great comment. If you guys saw Allie's comment in chat, yeah, when you got a strong negative feeling, and or you're uncomfortable, right? That's when you realize you're being called to learn. That's your call to action. Your call to action really is just that. And this is something that, and we've talked about this before, and I actually have this in my book about, think about yourself, your body, like your car dashboard. And to Allie's point, like her dashboard, like when she says, I'm having a negative reaction, then that's the key for her. That's the signal. That's the light that's going on her dashboard. Hey, wait a minute, there's something here for you to learn. And so if you think about your emotions as the dashboard of your car, so if you need more gas, you don't ignore it. Like, I needed gas on the way from Keene to Bedford today, right? I didn't ignore that. That's why I wouldn't have gotten here. So what I did, I pull over in Peterborough and I got gas. Well, our emotions are the same way, but we tend to ignore them as opposed to pay attention to them. I think that's what Allie's point is, right? Her point is that when she's feeling negative or when there's a reaction, that she realizes that's when she's supposed to learn something. And think about yourself as your car dashboard. So all of a sudden, hey, the oil light's on. Well, the oil light on your car means one thing, but the aggravation light for you means something else, right? Hey, wait a minute, this is really aggravating me, or this is really annoying me. And I'll just give you a real personal example. So I just moved, I don't know, 60 days ago. I've been in the same house for 14 years. And after I moved, I found that I was getting like really annoyed. And I don't typically get annoyed, but I was like really annoyed about small things. Well, here's what I learned about myself. I'd been in the house for 14 years. Now, I grew up in a real estate family. I moved every 2 years when I grew up, and I kind of carried that into my adult life. Not every 2 years, but I moved frequently. So the fact that I was in this one house for 14 years was a big deal. And I had that house was so finely tuned to me because I have a lot that I get done, and I have kind of a fast life, so to speak. Get up early, go to the gym, drive to work, all these types of things, right? Where that everything for me is like within an arm's reach, where I know where everything is. I have kind of a routine, and it allows me to be efficient in my day. And when I moved, I had no more routine, but it was a 14-year routine of where things were and all that. And so what I after a couple of days of being annoyed, I started laughing, and I'm like, oh, right, that's what it is, right? I have to develop a whole new routine. So, we have our emotional dashboards, and it's really important that we pay attention to them because they are giving you feedback on how your system is operating. So that was great, Ali. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, and Lucian, yeah, failure only exists if you quit, right? Quitting is forever. I was taught that at such a young age, through sports. When you quit, it's forever. You never can take it back. And I think once you kind of understand that, that's powerful. So, all right, anything else? Yeah, talking about Daniel talking about the car dashboard. Yeah, really think about that. Right, really understand your emotions. We look at ourselves as so. I want to give you a different perspective just for a second. We look at ourselves as flesh and body, which of course we are. But there's a lot of technology here, a lot of it. It just doesn't come in wires. It comes in cells and neurons and organs and things like that. But there's a lot of technology. Matter of fact, the most sophisticated technology there is packed into these bodies. And so that's the reason why you have your emotions, right? You want to use them to your advantage. And that's getting all the way back to building capacity. That's how we build our capacity, right? We're building our capacity by allowing giving us the ability to navigate things more seamlessly with more fluidity. So. All right, well, this is really a lot of fun today, and hope everyone has an amazing week. And I will see you next Monday for part 3. Take care.